Picture the version of Anubis that modern fantasy keeps handing us. A towering, jackal-headed monster, glowing eyes, dark battlefield, army of the undead behind him. The kind of figure a movie trailer wants you to fear before the title card even drops.
It is dramatic, it is memorable, and historically, it is almost completely backwards.
Because to the ancient Egyptians, Anubis was not the monster waiting in the dark. He was the one standing guard in it.
Today, we are stripping away the Hollywood version and going back to the source-backed Anubis. The protector of tombs, the preserver of bodies, the guide of souls, and the careful technician of final judgment.
And the deeper we go, the clearer the reversal becomes. Anubis begins with fear, yes, but not fear of a demon, fear of something painfully real.
Bodies left vulnerable in the desert.
Long before pyramids and sealed tomb complexes, early Egyptian communities buried their dead in shallow desert graves, and at night wild canines and jackal-like scavengers came to the burial edges.
This was not symbolic horror. It was physical. The dead could be dug up. The body could be damaged. For a culture beginning to imagine the afterlife as something tied to bodily preservation, that was a spiritual catastrophe.
So Egyptian theology does something brilliant. It takes the thing people feared at the edge of the grave and transforms it into the thing that protects the grave.
The best defense against the wild canine becomes a greater divine canine. A sacred guardian who watches the necropolis and drives chaos away.
That is the first key to Anubis. His jackal form is not there to make him evil. It is there to make him vigilant.
He is the cosmic guard at the threshold, the one who understands the predators of the desert because his own form speaks their language.
But then comes the image that confuses modern viewers most. Anubis is black.
And because modern horror often codes black as sinister, people assume the color means darkness, evil, or death as annihilation.
But in ancient Egyptian symbolic language, black could mean the opposite. The blackness of Anubis recalls the dark alluvial mud of the Nile inundation. That soil was fertility, renewal, the biological reason crops could grow out of desert.
It also speaks to preservation, the protected body, the tissue held back from decay. In the scholarly resource, this color field is tied to regeneration, cosmic protection, and biological preservation.
So Anubis is not black because he is a demon of the void. He is black because he carries the promise that life can return and that the dead will not be abandoned to rot or chaos.
Once you understand that, the whole image changes. He is not a shadow coming to swallow the soul. He is the fertile earth, the embalming chamber, the watchful guardian, all condensed into one figure.
But Anubis's role changes over time. In the earliest layers of Egyptian state religion, he is not just a helper, he is a supreme funerary power.
The scholarly page points to titles like Kenti Imentiu, often translated as First of the Westerners. Since the West was the direction of sunset and the land of the dead, that title marked deep authority over deceased souls.
In modern terms, early Anubis is not an assistant manager of the afterlife. He is the original sovereign of the dead.
Then the Osiris tradition rises in power, especially through the Middle Kingdom religious shift. Osiris becomes increasingly central and the old title is transferred.
This is where theology starts behaving like politics. Anubis cannot simply be erased. People need him too much. His function is too deeply rooted in burial, protection, and emotional security.
So instead of deleting him, the tradition repositions him. Anubis becomes tied into the family and mythic orbit of Osiris. He becomes the loyal embalmer, the guardian of Osiris's body, the guide who prepares the road for the dead.
It is a demotion, but not a humiliation. He loses the top throne, yet gains one of the most important jobs in the entire Egyptian imagination.
He becomes the master of the balance.
The Hall of Two Truths is where the soul reaches its great test. Anubis brings the heart, the ib, to the scale. This heart is not just a muscle. It is the record of moral memory, the weight of a life lived.
On the other side rests the feather of Ma'at, truth, order, balance, justice. If the heart balances with the feather, the soul can move forward. If not, the result is annihilation.
And Anubis is not standing there as decoration. The Book of the Dead tradition shows him attending the scale directly, testing the balance, reading the measure, making sure the judgment is not corrupted.
This is one of the most striking parts of the theology. The afterlife is not random. It is not a divine mood swing. The judgment is measured, calibrated, watched by the one God whose job is precision.
That is why the monster label fails so badly. A monster devours, Anubis verifies.
And he does more than verify. In the source tradition, he can also vouch for the dead. His canine nature becomes a protective sense. He recognizes the worthy soul and confirms it belongs among the divine.
Which gives Anubis this strange, beautiful duality. He is terrifying to chaos, but comforting to the vulnerable.
That duality appears again in the myths around Set. When Set threatens the sanctity of Osiris's preserved body, Anubis becomes violently protective. In some late traditions, he punishes Set in leopard form, branding or flaying him as a warning against tomb violation.
It is intense, but the point is not cruelty for its own sake. The point is boundary defense. Anubis is dangerous because the tomb must be safe.
And beside that severity, there is gentleness. His daughter, Khebet, brings cool water to the newly dead, a small image, but a powerful one. Refreshment for a soul arriving frightened and exhausted.
So Anubis is not one-note darkness. He is the full emotional architecture of death: fear, protection, judgment, preservation, and relief.
That is why he survives across cultures. The Greeks identify his guiding role with Hermes and create Hermanubis. Later traditions keep absorbing the image of the canine guide, the traveler between worlds.
Because the human need behind Anubis never disappears.
We still want to believe the body will be treated with dignity.
We still want someone loyal waiting in the dark.
We still want the final measure of a life to be fair.
And that brings us to the missing layer, the historical silence that may be the most human part of all.
We have elite tomb art. We have liturgical manuscripts. We have major theological patterns. But the daily practical devotion of lower status embalming workers is harder to recover.
These were the people who handled natron, salts, oils, linen, heat, odor, decay, and grief. They were the hands of Anubis in the real world.
What did they whisper in the embalming tent? What local prayers did they use outside the polished record of royal religion? What did Anubis mean to the workers who stood closest to death?
That is the ghost still inside the archive.
So the next time a film turns Anubis into a red-eyed villain, remember the older truth.
He was not the monster coming to get you.
He was the guardian making sure chaos did not.
If this changed how you see Anubis, subscribe for more source-backed myth histories beneath the versions everyone thinks they know.
And tell us in the comments, do you see Anubis as judge, protector, embalmer, or guide?